everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Reconsidered, the podcast. We want to bring awareness and appreciation to things that you may not have heard of, or maybe you've thought about them, but we want to get you to think about them in a new way. So, I got my co-host, Riley.
What's up? What's going on?
We got our friend Seth here.
What's going on, y'all?
And our guest for today is Anthony Kinnel.
Very first guest.
Guys, what's up?
Yeah, welcome to the first show. We brought Anthony on because he is working on a project, and it's a little bit of a movement, right? It's a cultural thing, and we're actually trying to do that ourselves, right?
Sure,
Getting people to reconsider things. So we wanted to bring on Anthony and let him talk about his thing, what he's doing, and it's called A Nation of Nobody. And he is a nobody. That's his name.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the topic for today is starting a movement. But before we get into that, we want to prelude with a State of the Cultural Union address. And just talk about what's going on in 2016. And Anthony's got some thoughts about, what are people thinking about? What's going on in the culture?
Right. What's looming in the wings, so to speak. Yeah. Well, we were talking about some things, and we were talking about there's been a lot that's happened in 2016, especially culturally. We were talking about Yeezy. We were talking about Yeezy season. We were talking about a lot of the Yeezus merch and about the fervor around it. And I was just likening it to the craze, like the height of like Jordan. And it's funny because there's this weird dynamic between Kanye and Jordan, where Jordan doesn't want to acknowledge the usurping of his previous, his legacy or whatever in shoewear or whatever. But slowly but surely, Kanye's stuff has been getting a lot of cultural momentum, and it's just crazy to see the changing of the guard. I never would have thought that a brand out of left field like that would come so soon after, such newness in the 90s or whatever. It hasn't even been really 20 years. And now we have Adidas more powerful than ever. We have like Nike on a downswing. We have, a dark horse of Under Armour, with Steph Curry and like all these other, these really burgeoning talents. And it's really interesting to see the state of culture in general, but definitely in the arena of like streetwear. And streetwear has never been more poppin' than it is right now, and it's getting more mainstream relevance. Whether it's Rihanna wearing a freaking Thrasher hoodie wherever she freaking goes, wherever she fucking goes, and it's just like it's really crazy to see these things that start out as a germ of an idea, similar to a movement, right? A movement starts with a germ of an idea, and to see it really catch on with the main populace, I guess.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's just a tick of change.
Right.
It happens in just like one little thought.
Right.
And then there's so much that comes after that leads up to a whole cultural movement. Right. So it started somewhere very small in somebody's mind, just like a little thought.
Totally, man. It's crazy to see, like, it's the whole Silicon Valley thing, right? Like, it's like you start in somebody's dusty garage,
right?
And you start this dusty idea, and you dust it off, and you try to sell it, and you try to gain, I guess, some kind of not approval's not even the word, but just validation that this thing is what I wanted, right? Like when I was growing up, like I really liked N1, and it's like, they didn't just come to me and say like, you want this. It was like, I want that, and they did research before it got to me to know this what I wanted, and it's like that kind of like empathy for the customer or for whoever is going to be a part of your movement is like key to have a movement, because you don't just tell them what they want, they tell you what they want, and you kind of reverse engineer it.
And empathy is a little bit different than sympathy in the fact that it's not feeling for somebody, it's like figuring out what that person is thinking.
Right.
And then putting yourself in their shoes and delivering value to them in some way that they didn't even maybe know that they wanted, right?
Right.
So to get them to consider or reconsider something.
Right.
And it's cool because cultural movements, they either just like start brand new or they come back around every 20 years or something.
Right. Totally.
Or it's the same thing, it just looks new.
That's
right?
it. Right.
So same kind of just culture shift over time.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun, and I think that's kind of the key when it comes to coming up with new ideas or germs of ideas, just to know that it's not new to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's more, instead of like some kind of creationism, it's definitely more of like postmodernism. It's just like an amalgamation of different, just different ideas that have already existed and putting them in their new context.
Mm-hmm.
And properly like kind of softening them for the person that exists today.
Yeah, creating awareness.
Yeah, creating awareness.
Yeah, awareness.
And putting content in context and delivering it to the right context.
Putting it to
That's
tangible
it.
form.
That's it.
I like that triple C. of
I like
innovation.
that too. I
That
like to see
movement.
Perfect.
Taking something but spinning it in a light that specific people want to hear.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we brought Anthony on specifically because he's starting his movement, and it's suitable for our first episode because we're trying to start a movement, like I said earlier, of awareness and appreciation.
Right.
And so you have a really cool concept with a nation of nobody.
Right.
So go ahead and talk about that.
So we're called Nation of Nobody, and basically the idea behind Nation of Nobody is that we like art a lot, okay? And I like the idea of a person being able to be a blue-collar artist if they want to, if they have the talent to do so. And today, there's more means than ever to do so. And we're all about empowerment of the artist and also to kind of creating art divorced from ego. I think that's one of the main ways that you get to that state of being able to truly do what you love and solely do what you love, is to do it again in service of other people. And we've just kind of taken up the reins of what's out there in 2016. There's so many different methods of creation and methods of distribution and dissemination to get your ideas out there. And we want to be the encapsulation of what a modern artist kind of looks like in 2016, and we want to see that. When we see that in other people, we want to help, I guess, empower them as well.
Right, and so you're kind of changing the context that people look at artists, maybe, right?
Totally.
So instead of it being about the artists, it's more about the art, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the artist has to utilize empathy and create something that's bigger than himself or herself.
100%.
Yeah.
Bigger than life.
Right, man, and it's an ethic that we kind of borrowed from artists that, again, nothing's new under the sun, right? And it's like an ethic that's already been purported by like several people, like whether it's like Andy Warhol or Jean-Michel Basquiat or like other Liechtenstein, like guys like that created art, the Dada movement, art that wasn't for people, solely for people in the gallery, because the people that made it to the gallery weren't necessarily people that needed to see the art the most. And I'm a very big believer in form follows function. And it's not about it looking pretty. It's about it serving a need and then being able to serve that need eloquently and efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing that, you design well. And that's kind of what we want to embody with artists. It's not just like some ego trip with art, which is very common. I think that one of the greatest artists of the 20th century, 21st century was Steve Jobs. And I think that he brought it to, I guess his medium was a totally different one than 99.9% of artists. But that doesn't make him any less of an artist in my eyes.
That is so true, man, because once again, he figured out what the people wanted before they knew what they wanted.
Right.
And he brought it to them, and it had that utility. So
Yes.
he was executing something, and he was doing it very well, but you can't just execute something well and call it art, then it's just decoration, right?
There you go.
So
That's
to make it art, you gotta have a reason, you gotta have a purpose, you gotta have some passion, something bigger, right? Like you said, bigger than life,
Yeah.
but really it encapsulates all of life, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
So it's more than just taking like one specific pinpoint of life. I mean, maybe that is a way to do art too, because because you can look at something infinitely small and you can look at something infinitely large, and
Right.
and just that polarity of two different sides of viewing
because
something.
people are able to do art however they please. That's the punchline, right? Like, I can't tell you how to do your art. Like, an art comes in several different modes, right? Like, it comes to the person splattering paint on the canvas. It comes to the person, like, fixing the John. It comes to the person, you know what I'm saying, that
in anger sometimes.
you know what I mean? Like every facet of like how we operate as humans can be artful,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's kind of one of the things that we want to get into, like, further down the road too, is like everyone's an artist and everyone is a genius at something.
Right.
And
they just got to find their medium.
Exactly.
Or maybe they found it, but other people aren't considering it art yet.
Well, put it
that's
into tangible
usually the
format.
case.
Right.
Make it tangible, and then it's the expressing the human emotion, the spectrum.
Right.
That's what I love about this.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right. So we've had our State of the Cultural Union address, okay, and we've already touched on your Nation of Nobody a little bit. Let's move into a new little segment. I want to learn about where did your idea for this Nation of Nobody, where did it start? Like separating the ego from the art. Where did you get that idea? Was it somebody? Was it some event? Or was it just like throughout your just everyday life? Did you just come to this conclusion?
It was an organic thing, and it was a slow build. And I remember in college, like, doing well in my courses or whatever and being miserable, and thinking about what I wanted to do with my life and how I would bring value to other people, and like how, I don't know, what my legacy might look like, or what I would be able to leave my kids, or, you know what I mean? Those deep kind of questions that you ask yourself, like when you really look deep. Those deep kind of questions you ask yourself.
That is
super deep.
Deep
It's
is the
really
word,
deep.
guys.
Deep.
You know, deep. So we looked deep, and I kind of came to the conclusion that I wanted to do some exploring, and art was one of the things that I hadn't really delved into too much as I guess in my formative years. And I ran into a friend from high school. He was doing some things under the moniker of Something by Nobody, and his ideas were really intriguing to me. And we kind of linked up, and we collaborated on some stuff, and we hive-minded on a lot of concepts, and out of that, Nation of Nobody was born. And
so he's somebody who's nobody, and you're a nobody.
Right, exactly. We're just the whole nobody clique. And Vivon Padyal, that's the homie right there.
And you still work with Vivon?
I do, on and off, because he's got his trajectory. And he's got a clothing line, as well as, he was a huge inspiration for me and mine, for revisionist history, and basically, like, yeah, man, like he was the jump off point for a lot of the things that I'm doing now. And we've collaborated even on I know we're going to get to this, about the designs for the shirts and stuff like that, but he was like instrumental in that even. So this definitely wasn't possible in conception without him.
Right, because so you've created some shirts, and we'll get into that later, like you said. But you're not a graphic designer. You don't know how to use
At all.
Photoshop
No.
or Adobe Suite or anything.
No, sir.
But you've created something that's cool, and we've talked about the meaning of it, and we'll get into that later in a separate segment, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So to go back to the idea that you have took something that you didn't really know anything about, but then you created something totally new.
Right.
Which is really cool. Just exploring and going into other mediums and stuff. And one aspect of what I think is cool about Nation of Nobody is that you actually approach that idea from almost every medium.
Totally.
So graphic design, you also do music.
Right.
Do you have any like spoken word, like written word, like any kind of art in that form?
I do, but I like to incubate my stuff, and I like to be my harshest critic. So like,
normal.
Like most artists, right? But different from most artists too. I actually seek a lot of outside criticism, like from the jump with my art. One, because I have thick skin, and I think the best artists learn to have thick skin.
Oh, yeah.
Because people that really truly love you and value you will give you the best criticism, and usually it hurts the most too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like family
Yeah.
What your mom says most of the time is probably right.
They'll tell you if you're
Moms
fucking
tell
up.
you.
Right, exactly.
And
That's
that's
moms.
That's
Yeah.
real love right there, you know.
Like, I
Because
know,
anybody
Mom.
can say, oh, like that is so cool, great job, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But what you're really looking for is yes, some validation that has meaning, right? But you're looking for validation on how you're executing it, right?
Right.
So it's up to the artist to come up with that meaning, but the way that he delivers it is
Crucial.
sometimes up for question,
It's
right? And it
everything.
is crucial.
It's crucial.
It is everything.
Well, that's one thing that people can start to reconsider aside from everything else that we're talking about is giving people good criticism.
Good feedback.
Yeah.
And not being
Criticism.
afraid.
Don't
to
put
do
people
that.
down, you know, because
Right. No, there's a
Yeah.
difference between positive constructive
Yeah,
feedback
absolutely,
and negative
yeah,
constructive
yeah.
feedback, and that's something that every single person should understand.
especially artists.
And understand not only how to give it, but also to receive
So
it.
when people
Right.
ask you for criticism,
Yeah.
give them your honest
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. Like, how
Don't
does
be an
this work?
asshole.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
definitely tell them
Yeah.
what
Don't be an
you
asshole
think.
by lying.
Don't be a jerk.
Well, that's even worse though. In my eyes, like a lot of people value PC-ness and like the cleanliness of that kind of dialogue, like of that exchange. But for me, it's like that's like really like futile. Like you don't like I don't gain any value from someone being nice
it
to
doesn't
me.
bring you any
I don't-
value.
Well, that's just
Like
there's
be
some
mean and
consequences.
honest. Like I will eat that all day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you bring it to me like on my plate. Like give it. Like you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. If somebody's telling me that I'm not doing well at something,
Right.
then it makes me want to do it better.
You're
Totally.
supposed to grow. You're supposed to grow in some way, you know. It's
Right.
criticism.
Absolutely.
Right.
That personal development comes from admitting
Yeah.
and realizing and understanding your
yourself in the mirror.
weaknesses,
Yeah.
or like even the weaknesses in your strengths,
Right.
And then figuring out, getting a plan together. What do I need to do
Yeah.
to just get better at it?
And that's with the asterisk like next to it, because like if you make art, you don't have to show anybody. You can make art just for yourself in your bedroom and be like in that world, and that's some of the dopest stuff, right? It's just when you just say, I don't give a fuck what
Who sees
Johnny
Yeah.
McShithead says about my stuff.
Shithead.
I don't care, right? But like when you come to people and say that I want you to buy my stuff, or I want you to when I put it out in a public manner, you do that for there's a function behind that. You want people to like your stuff, and that doesn't mean that you appease them, but that does mean that that does mean it's not irrelevant.
Yeah, there's a standard. It's like, you know, they need to see something specific that they want, like you said.
Right.
You're giving them, you're separating that ego from the art.
Totally, and it's like, but in a gallery, it's a little bit different than on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
And these are all like, and it's different in the music, and these differences have to be respected, like very specific to the context, like the whatever arena it's in. But like, I think that the short of it's all the same. Is just, you just can't be tone deaf.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it. You can't just make a painting and then
Right.
expect somebody to buy a
Yeah,
painting
yeah,
because
yeah.
you made a painting.
Right, exactly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have a 4-year-old daughter, and she shows me stuff, and like I try to nurture her creative spirit too. And but one of the things that I don't want to do is I don't ever want to like give her like 8th place trophies.
Yeah.
Because like
They make those?
yeah, man, they do. Like that's like most of the
That's hard, man.
most of the
Yeah.
store is filled with 8th place trophies because
Oh,
8th place
man.
is way more common than
Yeah.
1st place.
Yeah.
More eighth place from first
Like it's wild that's I feel like that's a modern phenomena that a lot of people really kind of want everybody to go home with that it's the whole argument of PC-ness again, but
And
you-
feel good. I just want
right.
everybody to feel good.
and
Well,
you want
feeling
people
good
to
isn't going to drive
Participation trophies.
any passion. It's not going to
Yeah,
drive
exactly.
you forward.
You
It's
gotta
not
struggle.
going to
You
drive
gotta
you
struggle.
right, you gotta have both of them. Like you want people to feel good, but you also want them to feel good while you're being honest to them.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't
Right.
have them feel good lying to them.
Well, if people
You know?
were perfect, then there would be no room for mistakes.
Right.
Totally.
And so that's why we are not perfect,
Right.
so that we can make mistakes to become better. And it's almost like life's way of giving out
Right.
trophies.
And it's something that I learned about
mistakes or eighth
giving.
place trophies.
The way to give feedback is not to say what they could have done better or what they didn't do. It's saying, here's what you did,
Right.
and then giving like a solution, right? So pointing out those mistakes that you were saying,
Right.
but making sure that you're not just pointing them out, but also providing a solution
Yeah.
wherever you see
Acknowledging
one.
them.
Yeah, don't
right?
just be a troll.
And if you
Right.
don't
That's
have
wrong.
one, that's fine too, right? At least but say that you don't have one.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, like this part can be better. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but I know that it can be better, right?
Right.
And then at that point, you've kind of lifted that burden,
Yeah.
and then it's on the artist to
Yeah.
fix
Would
it.
you agree that most artists would like kind of strip themselves down, cut themselves down of all things like possessions, even just to feel struggle again to create?
I think that is a
Radical.
I think,
Yeah.
well, I think it's a cliche nowadays that people the notion of the starving artist
Yeah.
Right.
or the artist that now as an artist I will say that like I think relative to most people I've spoken to, like I feel like an open wound like 99% of the times, and that kind of extremity of feeling is like why I put so much feeling into my art.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that artists come in all shapes and sizes. I think they come in all temperaments. I think they come in all any gender, any color under the sun. And I think there's no normative kind of application you put to an artist.
That is kind of the point of, or not the point, but it's one of the points of art is to not conform.
Right.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
bring new ideas, create new things, or reconsider
Right.
something that's already been done. That's why artists do their own renditions or covers of songs and paintings and sculptures and all that stuff.
So what would be the difference between your average Joe, who you would consider an artist in his or her own form,
Right.
compared to a painter or a musician or something?
So maybe
everybody's an
like
artist.
what some people consider
So-
fine art. That idea of fine art.
Right.
And then the idea of like every day you create art and whatever you do. Right.
Well,
Right.
I mean, I think that
So is fine
everyone-
art music? No, I
I
mean,
think
not
that
always,
everyone,
right?
if you can take something and turn it into a tangible format, then you're an artist in your own means. But that also
that could be a
means-
cabinet builder.
Yeah,
or that could
100%.
be-
Yeah,
Ex-
a teacher.
and that could be a
anything,
teacher. Yeah.
any
The way I kiss my daughter goodnight and she feels love before she goes to sleep. I think that's art.
you're
Mhm.
giving her the love. Yeah.
The way you interact with people is art.
Right.
And that's some people's form. Communication.
And
is
you're
a
doing
form
that
of
for
art
the
if you
future
do it
benefit,
well.
Definitely one I'm working on.
Yeah,
I'm working on
absolutely.
that art form every day.
Yeah, and
Same here,
we-
man.
And we want this podcast to be art.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what's awesome about having this be our first episode, right?
Yeah,
and having
yeah.
somebody on that's so passionate about their art and other people's art and just having art around you at all times, right?
So,
Creating your life as an art piece.
Remain
itself.
inspired.
Yeah,
Remain
remain inspired.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So when you wake up in the morning, when you start to first think about, Nation of Nobody and how just tell us a little bit about every day. What do you do to keep that in mind and how do you feel about it? You know what I'm asking?
Well, yeah, totally. I mean, I'm obsessed, right? So, I'm obsessed with. I get these ideas, and I get an idea of where I want it to get to in terms of whose hands I want it to get to, and I want people to feel the art. And it's like the main job isn't so much making the art; it's getting it to the people now, right? Like I think that totally distribution is a consideration that most artists didn't have to work on prior to, you know what I mean, like the last 15 years.
Right.
And now you have to be the best artist, and you have to be the best marketer, and you have to, you know what I mean, and you have to be your PR guy, and
Right.
and that fight is kind of one that is a new art form in itself, the multi-disciplined, you know what I mean, I don't know, artisan, mixed with merchant.
Yeah, so there's a saying in marketing that content is king.
Totally.
Well, I saw this addendum the other day that if content is king, then distribution is the queen,
Yeah.
and she's wearing the pants.
That's it, man. That's totally it.
Because
Yeah.
you can have something great, and like you said, if you don't mind not sharing with everybody, and you're doing it in your room for your own sanity of your mind,
Yeah.
that is awesome,
Right.
But if you're trying to really be the kind of a parent artist, you're getting it out there,
Right.
you've got to have great means of distribution.
Absolutely.
Right.
And to set that up takes strategy and stuff. So
Yeah,
nowadays it's not just
Well,
enough to create content. You're not going to get
that's-
essentially discovered, but you can essentially discover yourself and get other people to discover you.
And I think that's part of the main reason social media became an idea.
It's so successful, really.
It's so successful, and
Right.
that's who to blame and who to thank for
Yeah,
this
yeah.
issue of having to market yourself.
I think it's more of a thank thing.
I think so
thing,
too.
Yes,
Because
but social media kind of started that movement of having to do it more. So,
right. It makes it so that anybody can do it.
It makes
right.
it easier. It makes it a
It
lot
does
easier.
make it easier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it
well, I'm of the belief that like anything worth having is going to have hard work to it, and
most definitely.
and my I have entrepreneurship in my family. Like my dad was an entrepreneur. Like I have great grandparents that were entrepreneurs, and I couldn't look them in the eye and say that like I didn't chase after my craft because it was hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was hard work to learn a new tool. That you know what I mean? Like that sounds ludicrous to me.
It's like an entitlement.
Right. Exactly. And it's just the modern dilemma. And guess what? Guess what you do with dilemmas? You solve them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You put your hands on it. You figure out how it works, and you exactly.
Right. It's okay to have a problem. What's not okay is not wanting to solve that problem
Yeah.
or
Find the
ignoring
solution.
that you have a problem.
Life is full of dilemmas, and you have to learn how to solve them.
Yeah.
There's solutions everywhere. I mean, there really is.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Depends on your perspective.
All right, cool. So now let's get into what are you doing to like make this happen, right? You're in action with a nation of nobody.
Oh yeah.
And one thing real quick before you get started is that everything is a progression, right? Nobody I feel like big breaks aren't a thing anymore.
Oh man,
right? It is. Man, I didn't get a big break. I've been working on this for 5 years. You know, like it's not like all of a sudden I just got discovered.
They just shine the flashlight on you.
Right.
Now you
Here
can
I
see
am.
what's happening. Yeah.
Right. Now everybody notices it and has that awareness and stuff. And so that's something that we like to do is bring that awareness to people sooner so that they can appreciate it and just have more value in their life.
Yeah, man. It's like appreciate the grind, man. Like, and that's definitely where I'm at right now. So back to what we were talking about before about distribution. Like, that's one of my main kind of things is that distribution has to be a main consideration before you just create. Like, because usually I get the germ of the idea and then I look at distribution.
Yeah.
Like, that's like my methodology. And as of late, we've been working on these shirts. So, like, I'm like, okay, like, who's my audience? Like, okay, where do they live? Where's their attention? Like, wherever their attention is, I can get it to them, right? So, like, where is that? That might be Tumblr. That might be some people on Facebook. Maybe you target with Facebook ads. That might be in person at a art show or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It just depends. But it's like you can't just make the art. Is the punchline. Like even people that just made the paintings like knew what the landscape was, and there was a pretty standard distribution practice.
Yeah, if you wanted to be an artist in like the 1700s and essentially not die from not having food, you had to get somebody to sponsor you.
Totally,
right?
Medici's, man, you need a Medici's. Like, and then what Kanye said, I need a Medici family to fund me. Yo, Medici's, holler at me. My phone number is 4. No,
so I get what you're saying. So the process is right, having that germination of that idea, creating the content for the specific distribution, look at the distribution while you're creating it,
right?
And then actually
platform.
getting it out there, right. So you don't just create a bunch of content and then start distributing it.
No,
at one point, it's you're creating and distributing all at the same time and coming up with new ideas. You got to be consistent.
Right. Who's trying to hear a speech at a bar?
No one.
Like, yeah, exactly. You have to go into the context appreciating what they're already looking for and what the norms are. And based on that, you can choose to deviate from those, but you have to know what the norms are to begin with to deviate effectively. Or you can choose to go within those channels and outcompete whatever whether facilitators are in that channel, right? But it's like you have to strategize in the way. You have to know what you're up against. You have to know what the landscape is, because now more than ever, with we have supercomputers in our pockets. Like we are we're inundated with media, right? Like it is baffling how much media we have shoved down our throats every day, and people are saying, "But I want you to listen to me," and it's like, get over it. Like
so much
this
going
is
on.
right, exactly, and it's like this is just the State of the Union. This is just what's happening, and based on that, you have to make provisions for it, right? Like you can't say like, "Man, I wish there wasn't a storm." bruh, there is a storm.
It's gonna storm.
So,
Yeah, it's gonna storm.
How
no matter what
about them
happens.
apples?
right, cover your head.
I
You know
love
what
them
I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just,
I like the idea of like thinking about an apple, right? It's so simple, but it brings value to somebody. It's something that's healthy. It's like a healthy snack. You know, you're hungry,
Right.
here's an apple, right?
right.
But if you have content, think about it as that apple. You're not going to start chucking apples at people
Yeah.
because then it's not valuable anymore.
Right.
You're hurting people. But what you want to do is essentially bring that apple to the table, put your hand out with an apple in it,
Right.
and you want somebody to come by and pick up that apple,
Right.
and then trade you something for it, right?
Maybe
It's
shine it a little bit before you
Yeah.
give it to them, like let
Watch
it gleam in the
Yeah,
light.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Hold it right.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why they
Perfect
put the little
lighting.
wax on it, and it's edible. At least they say so, right?
Grab the apple. This is the apple. Grab it.
Yo, man, this conversation has been awesome.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
I really like. This is a great way to start it. Do you have anything else that you really want to say before we head out?
I totally do. I appreciate you guys letting me on the podcast. It's been fun. Hope you guys let me back again.
Yeah, we
Absolutely,
will.
most
We will.
Okay, awesome. Reconsider family.
Woo-hoo.
Bam, you know what I'm
Reconsider.
saying?
Hashtag.
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 Hashtag goes at the end, right?
Oh man, but yeah. In terms of like stuff I'm working on, it'd be great if anybody that jived with what I was talking about checks out our streetwear.
Yeah.
Nation of Nobody. We started a line called Revisionist History, and basically the idea is that any person that comes at it with the right lens can change the world in their mind's eye's image.
And be a part of it.
Exactly. Be a part of the
The
conversation.
whole thing. Be a part of that positive change in our lives. Help shape the culture of what's going on in 2016 leading into 2017.
Totally, man. And there's too many ways to do that. And that's kind of the punchline with Nation of Nobody is we want to use so many different ways to do that because we can. Because they're liberated, because they're democratized, because all of these methods of distribution, creation are at our fingertips. They're in our pockets. The cloud is everywhere, right? So it's like you can feel, you can taste the zeitgeist. It's here, and it's just like it's too enticing to not jump on. And revisionist history is an encapsulation of that sentiment, and we just want to be a part of the conversation. So our merch is on nonshop.bigcartel.com. That's nonshop.bigcartel.com. And yeah, check us out. And also too, we're on social media, non-media group, like Nation of Nobody non-media group. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Snapchat. We'll be on the VR lenses when they come out with them. Or at least the ones that are the contact lenses, man. Those are coming down the pipeline.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So something that I see when I look at your brand, like my little last note, is I see you as like I see Nation of Nobody as a symbol, right? And we've talked about all the symbolism that it stands for.
Right.
But one of the biggest things that's happening is change, right?
Yeah.
And I like the symbol of change is a triangle, which is really a delta sign in science, which stands for change.
Mm-hmm.
So let's bring about some positive change just through sharing valuable content, through appreciation and awareness.
Right.
And I'm going to let Riley go ahead and say a few more things. My name is Ethan. I don't think I said that in the beginning.
Well, I wanted to get you to describe the two shirts that you brought today.
Sure.
Just kind of to give everybody a visual.
Let's do that on the like
that's
a
right. On the
second
video?
segment,
Yeah, we're gonna have
right?
a second segment.
Yeah. So you got any last words, Riley?
I think you kind of covered it all. I mean,
All right, cool.
I really dug this episode. I think it was a great first start.
Awesome to get to
for
know
sure.
you and meet you, man. Talk about
Oh,
art.
man,
Love it.
it's been fun, man. Hopefully we get to jam. Like
Oh, we will.
talked
Oh, yeah, we
about.
got it, Jam.
Yeah,
That
man.
blues, man.
Because-
Soul.
Yeah, principally, I'm getting into this like really late now too. But principally, I do music. I sing, I songwrite, I produce, and this streetwear thing has been a new endeavor for us at Nation of Nobody. We love the idea of streetwear, and there's a modern movement within streetwear to kind of design things that look really pretty or look really that are very
Visually appealing.
exactly that just catch your eye, but they don't have substance.
Right.
And we're not okay with that. And we want to be the exception
That's
to
the
the rule.
problem, right?
Exactly.
You want to have something that's visually appealing and has substance.
Exactly.
Something that's eye-catching and a conversation starter.
Yes.
This brings value.
Yes.
And from what I see, I think you're doing
Excellent
great
job.
work
Yeah.
starting out. You know, I think that it could definitely be successful. You just keep working towards it.
Absolutely.
Keep
Grinding, man.
And-
Keep grinding.
Check out our segments on his shirts. I think you guys will really dig them. And Reconsidered is signing off.
Reconsider, yo.
Awesome.
Got so many vices, the pain entices me. Caveman Blues. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Can't see no light, still the sun rises unseen. Caveman Blues. I don't even know what's real from the inside out. I don't even know what's real from the inside out. I was confident, had a bat on my shadows, yeah. Caveman Blues. I tried to turn in my head till I drowned at the bottom, yeah. Caveman Blues. Every time that I find it just as I began to see, realizing the hands placed over my eyes. The whole time might have belonged to me. I don't even know what's real anymore. I don't even know what's real anymore. I don't even know what's real from the inside out. I don't even know what's real from the inside out. I don't even know what's real from the inside out. I don't even know what's real from the inside out. I don't even know what's real from the inside out. I don't even know what's real from the inside out.